I also wanted to like pretty much also talk about the dynamics within my family. I wanted to talk about that as well. I'm not trying to talk shit. Oops. I'm not trying to talk mess about my, about my family, but I feel like this needs to be talked about. In terms of like being a scapegoat and whatnot, So let's get into it. Give me a second. Putting on sunscreen because it's important. So, my problem is, you know how there is like a narcissist, right? There's a narcissist and then there is the enabler. And my dad happens to be an enabler. And I kind of feel like that ties in to it's like when you're the only one that you're the last one to pretty much leave and stuff like that, it kind of feels like you're just there to be the person, you know what I'm saying? You're just there to be the person to distract the other person, to distract the narcissist from the person that's trying to like, it's like you're just the second, you're the punching bag when the narcissist has already got supply from an enabler. So an example, say my mom and my dad, like I was gone, I was living with my boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend, for some time, for like I'll say 2 or 3 years, and it's like I just felt like, well, if I am the problem that she makes it out to be, I'm going to leave, or I'm going to try, I'm going to try to like, if it works out, if it doesn't, cool, but, I'm going to try, make an attempt to, I'm going to try to get independence, and for me, it's like I understand that it's a learning process. I was in my early 20s. I didn't know any better. He was like probably like 10 years older than me. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know any better. And he was also like on a spectrum, and I had to figure out, for some time. It took me a long time to pretty much, figure it out. So, like, that was a whole disaster. But it's kind of hard. It's like you learn at an early age. Aside from people like, You learn at a young age that you are in this by yourself and nobody's going to help you, especially when, you know, especially when it's your mom and dad. You know, you learn from a very young age, and yet they're surprised when you feel as if you're alone. Well, because it's like, they've been there to like criticize you and to throw your mistakes into your face, but wasn't there when you actually, succeeded at something, when you actually achieved at something, and then it really ties in, saying what I think about, saying what a man is supposed to do in a household, in a way. Because, saying, like, don't play stupid. It's like we both need those energies within a household. And if one person, what was always abnormal to me was that my mom was making most of the decisions. And we had a man in the house. We had a whole man in the house. It's just like, saying, my dad never really had a mind of his own. And I felt like he sacrificed me. He basically, like, sacrificed me so he doesn't have to get up and, because the thing is like, well, they will always argue. And then even though my mom would say that, they are together and, they're a married couple now and stuff like that after their fights and stuff and like that, she's still like operating, she's still operating like, she's still moving in a way that where it's still one-sided. Like she still feels that you are that that he's against her, and like as if like she's still trying to, she's still moving in a very sneaky way towards him. And it's like, well, if you're going to forgive, you have to, if you're going to forgive, especially like in a marriage or something like that, well, it's just like you have to. You can't just do that. You can't just move like that. It's just it's very sneaky. But while I was tying back into it, like, I don't think my dad has ever had a mind of his own, because his mother was the same. His mom was the same way. And I just felt like he chose her. And he would continue to choose her over me just so he doesn't have to stand up to her, because standing up to her, it takes work. And if she doesn't like something, then that requires y'all to like separate and move out, and go somewhere. And I feel like that's something that he doesn't want to do because he's lazy. Because he's lazy. And it's like you are allowing this discomfort in my life so that you can live so you can be comfortable. So you can live comfortable in your, enjoy this in a way. I just don't understand people that would rather live in this in this constant anxiety and